My name is John Silvester. I'm a reporter with the Age newspaper. Some people call me Sly of the Underworld. There are 5 million crime stories in the naked city, and this is one of them. Just a heads up, this episode may be distressing for some listeners.
It started off as a routine shift and finished up, containing the crime of the century, in effect.
It wasn't even his job when no one answered the call of a possible abduction. Sergeant Rod Phillips decided to head to the Templestowe house for a look. The call said it was 10 minutes old and the abduction of a child. The child was Karmein Chan, 13, who went missing from her family home on April 13, 1991.
Karmein has been missing from her Templestowe home for nearly 48 hours. The hooded kidnapper, armed with a knife, burst into the luxury Serpils Road home through a window.
Further threats to the Chan family can be seen right on their front lawn. A red Toyota sedan attacked with spray can graffiti last night. Across the windscreen, the words "payback," and more ominously along the side, more to come.
Release my daughter! Oh, my family and the family love her. Don't spoil my family, please.
At the time, police were investigating a series of similar sexual assaults that may have been committed by an offender dubbed Mr. Cruel.
Dubbed Mr. Cruel. He was believed to be
dubbed Mr. Cruel could have abducted 10-year-old Sharon.
We're dealing with a very cunning person, a person who we regard as very dangerous. Some describe him as a monster, and I think that's probably accurate.
Chan's abduction sparked the creation of the Spectrum Task Force to find the offender. It would last 29 months and cost $4 million. The task force of 40 would examine 27,000 suspects and deal with 10,000 tips, checking 30,000 houses. They would arrest 73 people on a range of offences, many relating to sex crimes. But they would never find the man they wanted. Chan's body was found a year later.
Squads of police today continue to excavate the shallow grave site in the desolate industrial area.
She'd been shot 3 times in the back of the head and her body buried in a shallow grave near Edgar's Creek in Thomastown.
It's outrageous to think that we've got a young female, probably around the 13 years of age, who's received a number of gunshot wounds to the head. I think that in itself is rather horrific.
Sergeant Rod Phillips, who'd been in the job for 15 years at this point, was the first on the scene to Karmein Chan's abduction.
It was what we would call a twilight shift or a late twilight shift, so we started at 8 p.m, rostered 8 hours, 8 p.m. till 4 a.m. And a call came over the air, which made my ears prick up a bit. It was about
Once he decided to take the call, he jumped into his marked Traffic Operations Group sedan and drove to Serpils Road. It was about 10 minutes away. When he arrived at the 18-room house on what is known as the Golden Mile, the electronic security gate was opened, but then slowly closed. He saw a man walking casually from the garage to the driveway. It was John Chan, Karmein Chan's father. The gate reopened and Phillips drove in. It was Saturday night. Karmein Chan's parents, John and Phyllis, had been at their restaurant about 10 minutes away from home. Karmein, with her 2 younger sisters, stayed at home. As the first police officer at the scene, Phillips' observations in his original statement are raw and vital. He knew nothing about the hunt for a serial offender, and his mind was uncluttered by past cases.
Yep, so I've got a copy of my notes that I've jotted down stuff. So
this is what he wrote. I observed 2 young Asian females in the garage area at the address, and I spoke to the youngest one, who identified herself as Karmein Chan, 9 years, of 113 Serpils Road. The youngest girl was Karmein Chan, 7 years. Were they upset?
They were upset. I could tell that they weren't crying, but they were upset, visibly upset. And I saw an Asian gentleman who I was soon to learn was John Chan, the father.
And John, what was his mood?
Unflustered. Calm, unflustered, as had been his walk back, across outer sight and back again.
Karmein Chan told me that she and her two sisters had been at home inside the house when a male person wearing a brown mask and a green tracksuit came into the house via the unlocked sliding door at the rear of the kitchen. She told me the man had a knife and that he had told the two younger girls to get in the room, apparently directing them to Karmein's bedroom. Once there, he directed the girls to go into the cupboard, which they did. So they had told you that they had been locked in a cupboard?
Yes. I looked into that room and I could see that the bed had been moved from where it should have been. I could tell by some paint on the wall that went around the bed. The bed, a single bed, was pushed away from the wardrobe doors. So the two hinged wardrobe doors had been pushed open.
Because their version of events was that they were told to get in the cupboard and that the offender had pushed the bed up against the wardrobe cupboard to trap them.
They were the actual words. I'm quoting them here. They said that the man said, "Get in the room, go into the cupboard." So when I looked...
The girls gave a description of a man who had broken into the house. Both kids said he was not wearing gloves.
I've written down brown mask, green tracksuit, no gloves.
In the driveway was Phyllis Chan's Toyota Camry sedan. On the bonnet of windscreens was written "Payback, Asian drug dealer." On the driver's side was "More and more to come." Police worked on the theory that Mr. Cruel wrote the messages to lay a false trail. Phillips, an experienced traffic operations group officer, did what he was told and secured the crime scene.
So then I got back onto my portable handheld radio, called into D24 and confirmed over the radio that it looked like a crime, so we got a crime scene. Then over the radio, another crime unit came up. So they come up on the radio and said, "Get everyone out of the house. We want to treat it as a crime scene. We think it might be Mr. Cruel." And my eyebrows nearly touched the ceiling, I think, but I never said anything.
He retired in 2011 after 35 years' service and still wonders whether detectives were too quick to believe Karmein was taken by Mr. Cruel.
Ceiling, I think, but I never said anything, but I thought, why could they think now that it's Mr. Cruel? Because they haven't even got here. They haven't got to the scene yet. And it just seemed to be a quantum leap in detective work to think that it was Mr. Cruel, because I don't know how they made...
We'll be right back after the break. While you're here, here's some reviews that I personally love repeating. John Silvester, a gun at his trade. What about this one from Stavonzo, first-class podcast from a first-class crime journalist. The only crime at all is that you are yet to win a Walkley. I got 4. Thanks you very much. And the others were when the judges conspired against me. Should do a podcast on them. The series of crimes for which Mr. Cruel was the suspect followed a pattern: breaking into a house, sexually assaulting or abducting residents, and going to extremes, not to be identified. And he often tied victims the same way and cut phone lines before leaving. The cases that made headlines before Chan began on December 27, 1988, when an offender wearing a balaclava and carrying a handgun broke into a Ringwood home.
When the masked gunman burst into their home, he pointed a pistol at Mr. Will's head and said, "You're not going to be a hero, are you?"
He bound and gagged the parents and abducted their 10-year-old daughter. She was released 18 hours later.
About midnight, a woman motorist spotted Sharon wearing a man's white shirt walking along Orchard Road, Bayswater, soon after she'd been dumped from a car.
In July 1990, an offender broke into a Canterbury home, again wearing a balaclava, and this time armed with a gun and a knife. He cut the phone lines, then abducted a 13-year-old girl, releasing her 50 hours later.
Her ordeal ended in the first hours of her 14th birthday, without ever seeing the face of the man who kidnapped her at knife point, assaulted her, and held her prisoner for 52 hours.
She had her blindfold.
In both cases, he wore gloves and forms of protective clothing. This is what a confidential police report noted, quote, "The offender is well versed with regard to forensic evidence," unquote. He bathed 2 of his victims to avoid physical samples, wiped sinks and bench tops to remove fingerprints. Before releasing one victim, he scrubbed the bathroom and laid a sheet on the lino-covered floor to avoid leaving footprints. In one, he took a second set of clothes from the girl's home to dress her before she was freed. In another, he dumped the girl clad only in garbage bags, so police couldn't test her original clothes. One victim told police she was washed, quote, like a mother bathing a baby. In the Chan case, the offender carried a knife and attempted to cut the phone lines. But for every similarity with the first 2 abductions, something jars. Why spend time writing insults on the Chan's car? Why didn't he wear gloves? Killing a child with 3 shots to the back of the head doesn't fit his previous behaviour. I mean, the 2 girls might have got it wrong, but it's quite interesting that they said no gloves, which just doesn't fit the form.
Doesn't fit.
One victim told police the man behaved as if they had a consensual relationship. Quote, he showed this by the affection he showed me and how chummy he was to me, unquote. If he was recognised by Karmein, then it is possible he would do anything to protect himself. As a serial offender, why did he stop? While the Spectrum Task Force set up to investigate the abductions concentrated on the Mr. Cruel theory, a few investigators looked into the family, as they do in all cases. A police briefing paper included the following, quote, several unconfirmed reports regarding John Chan, Karmein's dad, his business and financial background relating to gambling debts, overseas financial backing and business ventures bordering bankruptcy. Chan lightly questioned these allegations and offered any assistance into any legal or financial investigation. It appears that he is in a stable financial situation. Police quietly began to look at another theory. It was that someone abducted Karmein to punish his father.
Across the windscreen, the words payback, and more ominously along the side, more to come.
Perhaps they were going to demand a ransom, but when the case blew up as a Mr. Cruel abduction, they panicked and killed their hostage. If it was planned to be an off-the-books crime, why publicly graffiti Chan's car? Why do anything to draw attention to the crime? The perfect ransom demand is when the police are not involved.
Why the hell would someone who's meticulous about not leaving evidence, why would they go and spray paint all over the place, all over a car, and risk leaving evidence, possibly covering themselves with paint because that's the way spray can? Why would you do that? That's really a departure from what I understood Mr. Cruel to be like.
John Chan was quiet and friendly, but made some enemies in the business world. He could be ruthless and was often slow to pay his debts. He was wealthy. He had a small mortgage, 2 restaurants, a luxury house, 3 children in private school, and 2 Mercedes. Police investigators found he was a hard worker, but as a restaurateur, he had a variety of associates from a well-known receiver of stolen property to senior police, including the Chief Commissioner, who were regulars at the Lower Plenty restaurant. After Karmein disappeared, so did many of their regular diners. The Chans separated, their finances collapsed, and Phyllis saved her restaurant with the help of her family. John returned to Hong Kong. One Spectrum investigator told me John Chan was as cold as an icy pole. He said, in all that time, I didn't see him show any emotion. Phyllis was entirely different, but we all grieve differently. Asked his views on the crime, the investigator said, despite all the work, there was no real evidence. I just don't know.
This was one of the most shocking crimes in Melbourne's history. 25 years ago, 13-year-old Karmein Chan. Today, police launched a $1 million reward for any information regarding to the finding of the person who is responsible for Karmein's abduction and murder. Says his gut feeling is that Mr. Cruel is still alive.
So, has it stuck with you all this time?
Yeah, it has. Every time the anniversary comes around, because it happened to be my eldest son's birthday as well, 13th of April. He was 9 So I just remember the date. And every time it comes around or when it's coming up, I always think of Karmein Chan. I think of the sisters, the younger sisters, that they would want to know what happened. I think of Phillips Chan, the mother. I would love to see this chased up a bit further. I think it's still solvable. I'm sure that there's people out there who know what happened or were involved in what happened. So I'd like to see it solved for the sake of Mrs. Chan's soul, the two sisters, and really every investigator who's ever looked at it. We just want to know. We do want to know.
This was part one of a two-parter on Mr. Cruel. Mr. Cruel, the second chapter, coming very soon.
Just like a cocaine addict has to up his dose of cocaine, they always have to be raising the stakes, if you will, because it excites them. They get bored real easy.
That's next time. This episode is reported by me, and produced by an absolute gem, Julia Carr-Katzel. Mixing by the ever-reliable Cormac Lally. What will we do without him? Tammy Mills is a jet and is also executive producer of podcast. Special thanks to Lisa Muxworthy and Tom McKendrick. I'm John Silvester. Thanks for listening and come back soon. I certainly will.